Wellness Show, episode 174. Welcome to the Wellness Show, a podcast on health and wealth. I'm your host, Tyhson Banighen, the founder of the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy. Join me as we get the latest insight, tips, and strategies from wellness providers, coaches, and successful, heart-centered entrepreneurs, and much, much more. Welcome to the Wellness Show, and we have Amy Joe Ellis on the return visit to the Wellness Show. Today we're going to talk about the power of prayer. And I have to tell you, we've used the power of prayer on these computers to line them all up and get them to behave themselves. This is the second day of trying to make everything work. But everything, all the angels, all the elementals, all the humans are all lined up for the show today. So welcome to the show, Amy. There's magic in the air.
I'm happy to be here. Yes, there is. You can hear it. It's bouncing between us. I've been looking outside and the snow has melted off. All of our beautiful trees were covered in red and orange leaves and 8 inches of snow. And instead of having a fall this year, we had a stuck. And now the snow has melted off, and I'm just seeing beautiful leaves blowing in all directions coming down. And now it's snowing in amongst the fall leaves. So it really is fall. There's snow falling and leaves falling. Hopefully we get that before we're back into a stuck pattern. But what a beautiful day it is outside.
Yeah, it's been a beautiful day for us. It's been clear and sunny. There's no snow on the ground. Snow at about 1,000-foot elevation. Just like looking out the window, I can see snow on the mountains. But yeah, it's been a beautiful, lovely, sunny day. And my computer works. What could be better than that?
Not a thing. Well, you asked me to come in and talk about the power of prayer. And the last time that I was on, I got to talking to you about the Lord's Prayer and about the power of intention and the Lord's Prayer. I think I should probably go back and touch it a little bit because so many people were really enthusiastic about what I had to say. And what I was saying is that my guide Abraham told me that I was born Catholic, and that being born Catholic, although I wasn't raised as a Catholic, that the tools of Catholicism were still mine to use, and that he recommended that I sit down with the Lord's Prayer and recognize what each individual word within the prayer meant, and to kind of really analyze. Don't just analyze it, by statement, but really just look at each individual word. And when it came down to the word, he was saying, or hallowed be thy name. He's saying thy is, part of the word thine, just like my is the part of the word mine. And that it's kind of like that's the translation of where it was then. And so when we came down to hallowed be thy name, he said, whose name? And I said, God's name. And he said, but if it's my name, if thy and my are the same, it's hallowed be my name. And what does hallowed mean? It means sacred, and reverent is my name. And so that's what started me on the looking at how important being connected to our own name is to who we are and to how powerfully we can use prayer. So being centered in yourself and knowing who you are is a real important thing. And we always hear ourselves talking about when you know who you really are. People are always saying, if you know who you are. Well, we can look at who are we, but if you use the name, it connects you back to like your sacred file. Kind of like going to the doctor's office, and I was in Puerto Rico and they made me use my maiden name, and I'd go into the hospital and they say, have you been here before? And I'd say, yes. What's your name? And I'd say, Amy Joe Ellis. I'd give them my married name. They'd look and look and look and look and say, I'm sorry, we don't have your records. And I'd say, shoot. That's right. You guys made me give you my maiden name. And so let's look again under Richards. And then they could find it. that having your name really securely attached is one of the key ingredients to manifesting and really connecting to God. And connecting to God through prayer, when we get centered in who we are, you get this feeling about you that feels like unstoppable. And when I first started, boy, I could not get my name to give me a yes. You know, we're in a dowsing group here where people use a pendulum. For me, I just use the energy rising up for yes and down for no. If I ask you, is your name Tyson? You should feel an upsurge of energy of yes. Don't know how long the delay is going to be for you to be able to nod and say, yes, that's accurate. But yeah.
It was interesting yesterday who did those sounds around my voice and said that my voice was a different pitch when there was an alignment with my voice after we did so much work on it. So it's in your voice. Your voice, how you say your name, carries a vibrational frequency about whether you're centered or not centered. Interesting.
Right. You're breaking up a bit on this end, and so I'll try to carry it and not hand the ball back too much. Am I breaking up at all on your end? Just shake your head when you get there.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
We're just breaking up.
Okay, well, let's all set our intention that this clear up. Let's just send some healing energy into these computers and set our intention that everything clear and go rightly. I was going to say that, or we start over, but what I was trying to say about the name. I saw that Jackie's in here. Is it breaking up really horrible, Jackie? Oh, she says it's loud and clear. That's awesome. So I can just keep going. What I was going to say about, I was talking, I have a lot of guides, whereas, you know, Abraham Hicks, I absolutely love to sit and listen to Esther Hicks and have Abraham talk. And Abraham, for her, is a conglomerate of names. I have to tell you, I couldn't have been more bummed to have him tell me his name was Abraham, because it kind of felt like the guide was already taken. And I wanted a fresh, I wanted a fresh name out there. But Abraham told me recently that he is the son of Adam. So he goes way back in the lineage. And I was shocked to find that, did you see Jackie says that Tyson is breaking up, but I'm clear. So I'll just kind of roll with it and pretend it's the Amy Joe show, and I'll bounce things off of you and you can nod once in a while. Anyway, what Abraham said, like I said, I was shocked to find out that there were Abrahamic religions. I just thought Abraham was, the name of some guy. Just, I'm talking to Abraham. I didn't think that it would be the same Abraham that Abraham Hicks had. I just thought the name was taken. And but Abraham, this is a particular spirit, and he is the son of Adam. And he goes, he's pretty tight with God, being that he's, second to the oldest, third to the oldest being that connected to God. So you'll find him in three major religions. He's in the Christian religion, he's in the Muslim religion, as well as as Judaism. So I think it's Islamic. I don't know if Muslim, forgive me for my, my ignorance of the other religions. I'm ignorant of all religions, honestly. So anyway, what Abraham was saying to me is that when you're ungrounded and your energy kind of gets out and gets expansive, and we get lightheaded and we can't think and we just feel uncomfortable being anywhere, and like if you go out in a shopping center and you've got all this energy coming, I gotta tell a story. I think I got the props right here. I gotta tell a story in a minute, But anyway, if you get out in a shopping center and you feel like, okay, the lights are getting me and I'm getting overwhelmed by all these shoppers around me and the energy in the room. For me, Walmart was just the world's most uncomfortable place to go. Any of those big department stores just made me, as an empath, I wanted out. And so the first time that I really noticed that I was off center and off balanced and just, I couldn't be myself, I got a raging headache. And I mean the kind where you feel nauseous and you're very sick. And I'm pushing a shopping cart through a Christmas aisle at Walmart. And as I'm walking through, I'm getting sicker and sicker. And I just said, at the time I had a guide with me by the name of Flo, and I said, Flo, is there anything I can do here to stop this headache? And I turned around and I reached up and like pushed a nativity scene to the side, and I pulled out a giant cross. I mean, a giant cross. Now, in my life, like I said, I was raised without any of going to church or anything. Well, I pulled out a cross that was easily this big, okay? And I stuck it on my head. And as soon as I stuck it on my head, the headache was gone, completely gone. And my head felt bright and clear in my eyes. And I was like, okay, so let me put the cross. Ow, I couldn't put the cross off. If I tried to take the cross down, the headache immediately hit me again. So I'm sitting there in the Walmart, kind of like looking in a shelf, leaning on my cart, like thinking with this cross on my head going, this has got to look so stupid to everybody else in this room. I'm like, I wonder if I should buy this cross or not. Should I buy this cross? Now, this cross was not this thing almost disappears when you turn it sideways. This thing was like this thick, and it had a base on it this big. I mean, it was massive. It is this cross, but about 10 times bigger. So it was this is solid. This is as thick as this one. So I have this big monstrous cross stuck out of my head. And I'm sitting there, like I said, I'm leaning against the thing, and then all of a sudden the cross slides down across my head this way because my guides can move me. And I'm sitting with this cross stuck in my face, and the headache is gone. But I sat there for a while going, okay, it is really weird to be me. And I apologize to all the people of Puerto Rico who are watching, at that time, sitting in the hallway. And then it came down to my throat, and I was able to kind of lean on the shopping cart. And pretty soon, as it made its way down, clearing the chakras, I just asked her, I said, what's going on? And they just said, you need to get across and get across on you quickly to get your energy clear. And so this cross continued to clear one by one my chakras until I was clear. Then I went, my husband, after all these years, he's not going to believe me coming home with a massive cross like this, solid gold and shiny. So I said, what do I do about this? And they said, set it up on the counter. And there were 3 of the big ones, and I put this little bitty one in front of it. And then they said, use your thoughts to direct all the energy out of those 3 into this smaller cross. So this cross came home, and this cross began to sit at the headboard of my bed because it was my intention that I be protected by this symbol, and that I had a lot of belief in my background and in my history and in my lineage of what a cross could do for you and what it was, even though in my conscious mind, I didn't have any belief at all in what a cross could do. And I remember saying, okay, well, is there you got any advice for me? And I was walking by a thing of wrapped Christmas boxes that you could pop them open and see what was inside. And I reached over and I picked up a big stack of them and set them aside. And I reached down and opened a box, and there was a cross necklace in it. So I took that with me. Now, again, let me just kind of reiterate that it was my family's belief in a cross, and the power of intention to clear the energy that made it work. And so I want to get back to prayer, but I just thought that story was so profound. Abraham, now I went to teach a class, and I said, when people get scattered like that, Abraham, what's the fastest way for them to ground? And he said, say your name 3 times. And I went, all I have to do is say my name 3 times to ground? And he said, yes, that's the fastest way to ground. So the next time you're in a Walmart and you're feeling like you're under attack, he says, you know, if you feel like the lights above your head are just too much, he goes, you know, because it can feel like it's the lights. It can feel like it's the people around us. We don't know what this energy is, and we don't care. Honestly, we don't care. As long as it's gone, we don't care. So he said, the next time you start to feel that illness and that weird upset when you're out around in public, he said, just say your name 3 times. So I am Amy Josepha Richards Ellis. I am Amy Josepha Richards Ellis. I am Amy Josepha Richards Ellis. And only Amy Josepha Richards Ellis. And each time I say it, I'm shoving the energy kind of that isn't me down and into the earth. So I told him, I said, Abraham, if it's that easy to ground, why doesn't everybody just do that? Why is there all these meditations out and around that say, that say, oh, I'm a tree with my branches going up and my roots going into the ground. There's these cords, there's these ropes that we do. There's all these practices that we have for grounding. And he said, because most people aren't centered in their name. They don't know who they are. Well, I'm saying all of this because there's a little simple prayer that you can say to get yourself back into your name. And we're using the Court of Atonement, which is the basis of the booklet that I have for sale that's getting so popular right now, that if you use the Court of Atonement and you say, I place myself in a full Court of Atonement, so you say, I place myself, you have to use your name. If you don't use your name, you didn't subpoena anybody into the court. So you say, I call myself Amy Josepha Richards Ellis into I like the words full Court of Atonement regarding my name. So if you guys are having any trouble out there, just follow along with me now. I call myself into a full, and say your name, into a full Court of Atonement with my name. And I bring into this every person that I am connected to by that name. And I ask for a full Court of Atonement with them, because a lot of us are named after our dads and our moms and our aunts and our grandmas. I'm named after my great grandma, but my mom, I have the same name as my mom because she's named after her grandma. So there's a lot of people in my line that we can get tangled up information. So you say, I call myself into a full Court of Atonement with my name and with anyone who is associated with my name. And anyone who I associate with my name. A lot of people have the middle name Elizabeth, and they know that they were named after Queen Elizabeth. So anyone I associate, and then you just say, I ask to have this energy healed on the astral plane, or in heaven if you're Christian. Same thing. But so now I'm telling you all of this. I'm just trying to bring you along on a journey that took me a long time to gather out, because because I was talking to Spirit recently and asking in prayer. I go into a state of prayer and I start all of my channeling with a repetition of the Lord's Prayer about between 3 and 8 times till I feel clear. And then I start praying and I just ask, what is it that I need to know? And I was asking about manifesting and using the power of prayer. And they said, the first thing you need to know is to say when you're going to manifest, you should say your name over and over and over and over until you're humming with it. You're going to begin to just vibrate with this energy of strength that comes to you. And boy, I do notice it. So say your name over and over and over. And once you really feel connected to your name, then you can step into the mode.
You're breaking.
I'm
You're
breaking up
breaking
now.
up, so that last bit, yeah, you just need to repeat the last bit about the name,
Well, that's what the
about
whole
the
thing was
last three
about.
or
You
four
hear me?
sentences.
Okay.
But the
Yes.
last 3 or 4.
All right. Yeah, that you should, when you're getting ready to manifest something, you should repeat your name over and over to yourself. Just sit there and say, I am. For me, it's I am Amy Josepha Richards Ellis. I am. And I feel I'm calling my energy into myself as I say it. And it begins to really strengthen. So I ask that that strength work to create a good, clear connection here. And so once you get yourself in and to where you're really vibrating with your name, then you begin to make your statements and your declarations of what it is you're looking for. And what I really want to make sure people understand, every thought is a prayer. Every thought is a directive out to what it is that you're lining up for tomorrow. And so so the power of prayer is what we're talking about, but every thought's a prayer. And I think that's written in, say, in the Bible and everywhere, that your thoughts are your prayers. They're not the direct communication, but they really are a prayer that sends out. So I'm really careful with where I place my focus and where I allow my thoughts to wander. And as soon as I see something I'm not liking, I just, as soon as my brain is like, oh no, what if, stop. I demand that this stop. And I put my focus, that's what I don't want. This is what I do want. And I begin again. And then I kind of make commands into, this is where I'm going. So using the word stop to stop your thoughts is really powerful. And I was thinking about a time to kind of bring it home where I'm trying to remember if I told this on your show already, where we had that great big storm and the trees were falling in our yard. Did I tell you that story yet?
No, well, tell it again.
Did you hear it, or you don't remember?
I don't remember, so yeah, tell us about it.
Okay, well, I'm here in North Idaho, and about, I don't know if it was probably close to 3 years ago, right about this time, we had, yes, Valerie says it's best to be careful of our thoughts, and she's right about that. So I'm outside. I had just moved here from Puerto Rico, kind of under duress, and we just moved to North Idaho. And when I left, I had intended to go home. I intended to go back. So I just packed a few things to be here for a couple of weeks. And then while we were here, our business burned down. And with the business burning down, we pretty much lost everything. And not pretty much, we completely and totally lost everything due to a set of circumstances. I'll call it a do-over. But I was really grieving for the loss of Christmas decorations that my children had made. And everywhere I went, here comes these Christmas trees and all this stuff. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, all those Christmas decorations that my kids had made since they were little, it was making me really depressed and having a hard time. And so Abraham said, hey, just when you hear yourself getting upset about those things, recognize you've got grandchildren to put new ornaments on the tree. Just yell, stop. I will not tolerate my body going into this reaction of grief. No, stop. Those things are fine right where they are. Someday when I'm in heaven, I can just pick them back up and have them, because nothing actually leaves. So he said, even when they're destroyed, you can go back to another point in time and revisit them. So just right now, they're in a storage shed. Make some kind of image that makes it work for you, and just yell, stop. I won't allow my body to respond this way. So every time I saw something that I had, I yelled, stop. I won't do it. And I won't allow this. And I was in Home Depot, and they had this really pretty Christmas tree skirt that I had loved, and it was like $40 with a snowman on it. And I had looked at it the year before and thought, oh, I really would like to have that, but I didn't buy it. When I came back after Christmas, I found it on a 90% off sale, and I bought it for I think it was $49, so I bought it for $4.90, and I was all excited. And then I'm like, ah, crud, that's right, I left it in Puerto Rico. It's gone. And I began to go downhill, and in the middle of a busy Home Depot, I yelled, stop! And I picked up my cell phone and I said, I will not tolerate this language from you. Do you hear me? And I used my leverage against myself to stop it in a very weird way. Yeah, always in a department store, I guess. Anyhow, so I got in the habit of shouting stop at the images that I didn't want. So here it is, this big windstorm in North Idaho, and we're in a travel trailer here, and so we have 10-inch sheets of 10-inch thick sheets of styrofoam that lay over the top of this travel trailer to keep it insulated, and it has tarps that hold it down, and the tarps are tearing loose in the windstorm. And so I yell at my son, Tanner, come out with me and help me tie down these tarps. So I'm outside just making sure the tarps are all tied down, and I hear 2 trees fall in the back behind me. Now, I should probably turn this around and give you an idea that I'm in pretty tall trees here, and on the backside they're even closer. So I'm in this I'm outside, and I hear these trees fall, and I open the door and I yell, Tanner, we're not safe here, we're leaving, get out here. And I continued working on the tarps, and while I saw in my mind's eye a great big dead tree like blow in over the top of the trailer and crush my bedroom. And I just went, stop! I will not tolerate that. This trailer is safe. I am safe. This trailer is safe. Every tree on this property is safe. I demand it. I insist it. It is so. And I did it with this big conviction in myself. And I opened the door and I said, Tanner, I just saw in my mind's eye a dead tree crush the trailer. We're leaving now. And my son, like jet propulsion, comes running out the door because he knows who I am. And he says, I said, I demanded that the trailer is safe. I feel like it's safe. I asked that I am safe, and I get that I am. And Tanner goes, well, what about me? Am I safe? And I felt this no, and I yelled, Tanner is safe. I demand and insist that Tanner is safe. And Tanner goes, that doesn't sound like a yes to me. And he's 23 years old and running for the car, you know. So we took off and headed to the car, and on our way out the driveway, we turned left at the driveway, and on our way down, this whole stand of trees is blowing. They're like 160 feet tall trees, and they're leaning over the road, and we just stopped the car. Tanner's like, those trees are coming down. And as soon as the gust let up, we gunned it and went out. By the time we got down to the supermarket 3 miles away, the power was out everywhere. And we sat down. We were so happy to just sit in this parking lot and be in a reprieve. Well, after the winds calmed down, we turned to go home, and all of those trees were laying in the road. And we had to go back a back road and, go about 5 miles out of the way to try to get back in. And we had to go around many, many more trees. When we got home, there was a great big dead top of a pine tree, just as I had described it, laying 10 feet off my bedroom wall. And the trunk of it's like this big around. And it's laying, like I said, head first that way. So it had sailed in across the top of the trailer from out of nowhere. We'd had tornadoes and everything. So it had flown and flew across that trailer and missed it by probably a foot. If it had been 1 foot more, it would have crushed it. So being 10 feet off, I mean, in perpetual motion, Tanner goes, that's your tree, Mom. And then my husband comes walking up, and Tanner says, Dad, she said a big dead tree was going to crush the trailer, and she stopped it. There's a big dead tree. We don't have any place that it came from. You can't find the top of a tree or any tree so it probably blew in from down the road. But it was a big lesson to me that what we think about, we bring about. And when we think a thought of something that's very harmful, to just make a declaration that is not going to happen, and stop these things using your intention. And when we say intention, it has been kind of been, it's been, I want to say liquefied. It's been watered down to mean an idea, a concept. It is my concept to do this. It is my thoughts. It is in my thoughts to do this. But an intention is to bring that tension into your body and declare it to be so, nothing else. So like I said, I want people to understand how powerful they really are. And the only way I know how to really describe this is unless I tell my own stories of things that have happened. I was living in Puerto Rico. Hi, Mom. I was living in Puerto Rico, and I began to feel terrified. I mean, absolutely terrified. And I couldn't decide where it was coming from. And nothing made any sense. And my husband was wanting us to come on a trip up here to Idaho. And I didn't want to do it. And I thought, well, maybe it's coming from him wanting me to go to Idaho. Well, this sensation of terrified, I can only say that I only knew one other time in my life that I'd felt quite this terrified, because there's times where you feel frightened and there's times where you feel scared. But one time I was delivering phone books in California, and you're supposed to drop them off at the gate, and if the gate's open, you're supposed to put them up by the door. So we drove up this hill, the gate was open, drove up this hill, and I was putting them on by the door opened, and a man walked out with a gun, and he just leveled it in my face and said, "What are you doing here?" And I'm just like, "I'm delivering your phone books." And he just cocked that hammer in my face, and he goes, "My gate was closed. Why'd you open it?" And I mean to tell you, this rush of energy of holy crud, that's what I was feeling in Puerto Rico, was this, I am in serious danger. And I couldn't put a finger on it. I kept asking about it, and Abraham they didn't give me any direct answers, which isn't like them. And so I said, "Abraham, what can I do to feel safe? What do I need to do in order to feel safe?" And he said, "Call your husband and tell him you'll go to Idaho with him." I thought, are you kidding me? This is about me not going to Idaho. I've been pushing so hard against it. So I just picked up the phone, called my husband, and said, "Hey, babe, change of heart. I'll go to Idaho with you." And he's like, "What made you change?" And I said, "Abraham said I'd start to feel safe if I said I would." And boy, I'll tell you, it was just like the guy had put the gun down. It was, thank goodness. Well, a couple days later, I began to notice that although most of it was gone, there was still a nagging sensation of, I'm not safe. I'm just not safe. And I said, "Abraham, what else do I need to do to clear this feeling of not being safe?" And he said, "Tell your son when he goes to California to take the dog." Because my son was going to go to California while we were in Idaho. And my dog gets car sick on the way to the beach 1 mile away. She's not going to like being thrown in a crate, stuck on a ferry for 2 hours, dragged across Puerto Rico for 3 more hours, and then 14 hours of travel time. Believe me, this dog's not going to want it. And I'm like, "Abraham, Daisy can stay with the house, and Billy and Audrey will take care of her like they always have." And he said, "Oops," she says, "we lost sound." Uh-oh, are we back yet?
Well, I can hear you. I don't know if others can hear you.
All right, well, I'll keep going. Let us know, Valerie, if we show up.
Yeah,
And I guess she won't. I guess she won't if we don't. So anyway, I said, you know,
And
can't
who cares we're talking to each other?
that's right. So I told it, I told Abraham, I said, Abraham, Daisy is perfectly fine to stay with the house. She'll be so much happier if she just stays here and lets someone else take care of her than for her to have to do all that traveling, because she doesn't travel well. And he said, if you would like to feel safe, you simply must take the dog. And I went, uh-oh. Why? Is something seriously bad going to happen to Puerto Rico while I'm gone? Big silence, no comment from Spirit. And they are really fast to answer me, and they're looking for the way to say it, but they don't. And they said, I said, tell me now, I insist. What's going to happen to Puerto Rico while I'm in Idaho? And they said, this was in May of 2013, okay, in the year 2013, in the month of May. They said on September 19th, there will be a nuclear explosion off the border of Turkey, and on September 19th, a toxic cloud will come across Puerto Rico with an 80% totality of life. And I just went, oh, I can't live with that. I can't leave with that. And they said, warn your friends. I said, they won't listen. They will not hear that. And I began to just like break down with the emotions of it. So I said, is there something I can do to change it? No. I said, is there something God can do to change? No. There is something God can do if I tell him to. So what is it I need to tell God to change the outcome here? And they said, we are looking into it. And so I went and made dinner, did some things, came back. We're still looking into it. And so a big period of time went, and I'm thinking, I'm going to be, you know, the boy who cried wolf. There, you know, I don't see any way of getting anybody. And I tested the water. I picked up a friend and said, hey, what are your plans around your birthday? Because his birthday was right then. I said, what are your plans around your birthday this year? Any chance you guys are planning on going to Florida? And he says, no, my whole family's going here. And then I told him what I knew, and he said, happens, doesn't happen. That's life. That's that's destiny. So I'm not going to worry about it. Yeah, and there's the one person who really knows me and knows what I'm saying, and he ain't willing to change his plan. So I went, Fred, this won't be easy. So finally, Abraham came back and he said, there's a window of opportunity to change it. And it'll take prayer to change it. But the amount of prayer that it's going to take, your physical body is not in, you're not in the physical vibrancy you would need to be in order to handle this duration of prayer. And I said, what do I need to do to get into that? And they had me do a 3-day fast of water only, and setting a timer on my phone for drinking water with bergamot, clary sage, and one other thing. I want to say, I can't say it, so I'm wrong because I'm in the zone. I wanted to say lavender, but that's wrong. It'll come to me. But so there were 4 items that I was to put into this big jug of water, and then drink 3 ounces every 20 minutes, and set a thing, and then drink 12 ounces on arising in the morning, and 20 ounces going to bed, and then sleep, and then get up in the middle of the night and drink that again and go back to bed. It was rigorous, it was arduous, and I did not miss a sip. When every life around you is laying on this and you believe it fully, the diets work, people, like nobody's business. You're not gonna screw up. And so I did this, and every time I took a drink, he had me jump up and shout, I am healed, I am healed, I am healed, over and over for a full minute. So this was to bring my vibrancy up. And then the last day, I had 4 windows, and then the day that I could do. And I had to go to the beach and change the hearts of 48 men. In order to stop it, I had to change the heart of 48 men. So I did everything that Abraham asked. And then on the day, I went to the beach, and just a lot of people know Raymond Grace and the way that Raymond Grace works with a pendulum and removing energy from the people. I was removing rage, the need for restitution, the need for revenge, and there's one more R. There were 4 R's. And then many levels of like anger and hurt, and kind of work each person, each man. We made a list of 1 to 48, and each person, I didn't know who they were. I just had to work on these 48 men. And after I had from 9 o'clock in the morning till 7 p.m. to change the hearts of 48 men, and about 4 o'clock I began to feel it was impossible because I'd only changed the hearts about 13. And I said, Abraham, this I don't know how to do it any faster than what I'm doing here. And I said, please step in for me and see what you can do. Is there anything? And he said, well, let me talk to God. And then I just kind of stepped out of the channel, and I channeled Abraham to where his voice was speaking through me. And he said, like, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. And he said, Amy Josepha Richards Ellis stands before you, humbled. And I had to wear a bikini and no sunblock and no bug spray or anything. And it poured down rain, it lightning, it did all kinds of stuff when I was out there. And he goes, she stands before you, virtually naked, believing with all her heart that this should be stopped. And he said, you're, why is... He said, we know we're not allowed to intercede against free will. But here, I'm going to get emotional. I got to stop that. Get grounded. He said, here stands a woman who believes with all her heart that her goodness should supersede 48 people with evil thoughts. And they said, we ask you to intervene against free will in this one occasion. Stop this injustice from happening for this woman who stands before you, for the rest of mankind who will be victimized for it. And then I hear this big resonating voice say, I will look into it. And I just like sag down to the ground and start crying. And Abraham said, your husband approaches. Take him the dog. And I took the dog out and told Ken, we're waiting to find out if it helped or not. I don't know. And I turned around to start to walk back to this sanctuary I had made with umbrellas and candles and everything under the tree. And part way back in, I heard God's voice say, it is done. And you can tell I believe me, right? I just was like, volumes of energy just came off of me. I was like, oh, thank God. Now I stood everywhere I went. I was like, my God, the world just had this close call, and nobody knows it but me. And nobody believes it but me. And maybe I'm insane and need a rubber room because I have no way of proving that what I believe to be true for myself is true. I just have this. Well, I told maybe 4 people that story. Recently, I've told a couple of groups of people, but the handful of people that have heard it is very small. On September 17th, I'm like, I've got no proof that that's true because nothing happened. How do you prove nothing happened? Means you did anything, you just can't. And I went to go into AOL one day, and the front page of AOL said, 2 ships filled with coffins and body bags dock, one in Puerto Rico, one in San Juan, and one in Ponce. 2 ships with hundreds of thousands of body bags docked in Puerto Rico 2 days before the toxic cloud was supposed to hit. I stood there and went, that's it. That's my proof. That's my evidence that they knew, someone somewhere knew there was supposed to be a nuclear explosion that was going to cause a lot of death on Puerto Rico. And because 2 days before it was supposed, but who knows when the nuclear explosion was supposed to hit, but when the cloud was supposed to get here was the 19th, and on the 17th, those ships landed. Well, I'm not a conspiracy theory person by any means, and I totally think I don't care who's the president of the United States, and I don't care who the guy is standing in Korea. If I feel threatened by him, stop. I demand that guy be stopped. The other day, I kind of had this bad feeling about him, and I said it. I haven't been able to say his name since I did it, so I know that I did turn the events around North Korea a little bit recently too. But this kind of power is available to each and every one of us. I am not special, people. I am not anything different than what you are. I am just in touch with an intelligence that we are all in touch with if we'll stop and try it. This is prayer that I'm using. This is prayer of asking what's happening. This is being sensitive to what's going on around me. But the only thing that worked there was prayer and demanding that it be done. So that's where I felt that it's really important for people to recognize, if you don't like what's going on, change it. Change the way you feel about it. Demand, I won't allow this. They say, but I'm special to you. Thank you, Jackie. I love you more. Jackie's one of my biggest advocates out there. I'm looking to see where the time slot is on here. I probably went too fast again. Don't even see where it is. How long have we been on, Tyson?
We've been on for 46 minutes.
Okay, good. Yeah, so like I said, I just kind of wanted
to see.
Oops, you break it up. I couldn't hear you.
Can you hear me at all, or is it just really breaking up?
Right now, you started to come through.
For what you wanted to say.
Shoot, it is breaking up too much, unfortunately. You started to come through clear for a minute, and then it broke up. You could type it to me, Tyson. Might take too long.
Well, I'll just try and say it so it's clear. The other way of doing what you're saying that I've been taught just recently is to declare "not in my world," and that declaration will actually change. Not in my world. It's very much what you were demonstrating, and according to the Tao, what we're is to bring heaven on earth. It is our responsibility, and it's done with every thought, word, and deed. And it's done exactly in the way that you are talking about, where if you want that to happen, you have to be able to literally get on your knees, and you have to do the prayer work in whatever form and whatever belief system you believe in to create the energy field such that it will reverse those that want some negative action to happen. So I just wanted to know that there's a whole body of belief, and from very many different religions, not only Christian but Taoist, that this is our responsibility. This is what it means to be an earth steward, a planetary steward, a conscious human being. This is the path to enlightenment, is for us to stand in our sovereign being no matter what and declare "not in my world." It's just not acceptable. And to thereby, enough of us do it, and that's the whole purpose of the dowsing and energy group. There's 2,000 in that group. 2,000 people saying no. The power transformation and change on the planet will be incredible. For some reason, the computer decided not to break up, so I could at least say that. So over to you, because I know you got one more thing you want to say to wrap it up.
Well, I did, and then I thought, what was it? Yeah, that's it. Well, when you were talking, you were saying 2,000 people saying no. And one time I asked Abraham about the word no, and he said no is a diffuser word. No is too small. The reason people walking around with a sign saying no war is ineffective is because the war, if you look at the word war, that has a temperature of 7,000 degrees. And the word no is an ice cube, and you just throw an ice cube into an inferno and it can't stand. And so you yell, stop, like we said, stop, and halt, something big that has a lot more power to it. And when you hit that power of
I
saying
don't know
halt,
whether people were able to hear that very much. And so if it's possible, could you just say that last bit again?
Okay, I'm just going to rewind and say that
Around the power of no, that it's not no that should be said. You were explaining something else.
right, that the word no is to say, I see Valerie saying cancel and clear. When that would be that would be very good. But what we're saying is when people are picketing and they've got a sign that says no war, the war is at a let's say it's on a thermometer scale. The word no war war on drugs, no more. The word no is ineffective because it's just a diffuser word. And the reason that you can ask God, please, no more rain, and the rain continues is because the rain has this big intentional charge. This flooding has a big intentional charge, and you're saying no more rain, God, and all he hears is more rain, because the more rain has such a bigger volume, such a bigger temperature. And like he said, it's the word no is like throwing an ice cube into an inferno. It doesn't stand a chance. So you have to say stop, halt, I will not, and make big declarations of it. And that's the where the prayer work comes really in, is to know what it is you're wanting, and never pray from a standpoint of what you're not wanting, because your word no of what you're not wanting just happens to be an ice cube in an inferno. It can't overdo the power, so God doesn't even hear it. It's and it's your feeling, it's all about your energy and getting that inner tension of no. If you go stop, right now, you guys in your living room where you are yell no, and you'll feel how disempowered you feel. If you yell stop, you feel way more powerful. If you yell halt, that feels more powerful. I will not tolerate this. These are big, empowering, much more volume, much more energy statements than the word no. So, like I said, he calls it a diffuser word. It's a diffuser word, and it's used all the time, so it's really been watered down. But when you yell stop at it, you can yell no at a child and they'll keep running. If you yell stop, people usually stop. So, yeah, I like it. Yes. So anyway, like I said, I just want to leave people with the idea: get empowered into your name. Get centered in your name. Say your name over and over and over, because that brings your energy to you, your creative energy. So as you're bringing this back, you begin to amplify your energy. Then it's like right now, my husband and I are going to have to move in a few days. The property we live on is sold. And so I'm just like, I could easily fall into despair and go, I don't know what I'm doing. It's scary. I don't, stop. I am Amy Josepha Richards Ellis. I am Amy Josepha Richards Ellis. And I declare right now that the world works for me. The world is always supporting me. And I know that as I walk forward, the path is going to show itself in beautiful turns in front of me, and I will end up exactly where what is for my highest and best, in a beautiful place, in a great location, with a lot of ability to channel, because I have been hindered where I am. So the momentum is pushing me out of this small space that has hindered my ability to channel as much as I would like, and I'm being shoved down this road to get that new space that gives me a better freedom. So I hope that made sense to you all. I have, for some reason, stopped using a cap on it. It's almost like when I just stop, instead of saying thank you and amen, I just release it and let it just go, and let it keep going without putting an end cap on it. So I don't know what that's about, but it seems to be working. There was one other thought that was where I was doing the water blessing. I would hold my glass of water and say, I clear all the negative energies, entities, and properties out of this glass of water. This water is purified. Every atom, every molecule, every crystal of this drink has been charged to its highest and best. And I continue to, I would do that for 2 years. Every drink of water I cleared. One day Abraham said, all you have to say is this water is cleared and blessed, because now you know what you intend. And I said, oh, Abraham said, I don't need to say, I do not need to say the whole blessing I had been saying. I just need to say, this drink is cleared and blessed. And I said, okay, this drink is cleared and blessed. Thank you. Amen. He said, who did you thank? I said, well, whoever cleared and blessed it. He said, you did.
So the power of the word is unstoppable.
Right. A lot of people have a problem with making a command. They're like, who am I to command God? God. That God source lives within you. That God source lives within you. He's omnipresent, which means he's in every cell of who you are. And the person who needs to get out of your way is you. So you make your declarations.
Well, that's a great way to wrap it up.
That's what I thought.
The person who needs to get out of the way is you. Thank you, Amy Joe. It was wonderful on how to one's life. So thank you very much for the interview. It was great. Another step forward in understanding the power of your own name, the power of you, God, I am, and that declaration and owning it. The ability to say, not in my world, or declare stop and change the world. And that's our divine right to make the way we want to.
Tyhson, it's been a pleasure. You guys can find the Court of Atonement booklet at amyjoesings.com, and pretty soon at courtofatonement.com, and hopefully coa.com. So, but love y'all. Thank you so much, Tyhson.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
For quality online wellness products, courses, and services, visit our sponsors, thewellnessstore.ca and the Extraordinary Healing Arts Academy located at thewellnessacademy.ca. To stay in touch, visit us at thewellnessshow.ca. And until next time, be healthy, wealthy, and wise.